Chapter 9, the healing of the man with the gout. Then he stepped into the boat, went back across again, and came to his town. And behold, they brought him a man suffering from gout, lying on a bed. When Emmanuel saw their trust, he spoke to the man with the gout. Be comforted, because your trust in the power of my Spirit, and in my teaching of wisdom, which is the teaching of nature and creation, has helped you. Behold, some of the scribes stirred up talk among the people. This man blasphemes God and our holy teachings. But since Emmanuel understood their thoughts, he spoke, Why do you think such evil thoughts against your better knowledge? Yet what is easier to say, your belief has helped you, or stand up and walk? So that you may know that I am a person like you, and yet know how to use the power of my Spirit through my knowledge, I command the man with the gout, get up, pick up your bed, and go home. And he stood up, took up his bed, and went home. When the people saw that, they were afraid, and praised the amazing new teaching of Emmanuel, which gave such power to the people. Matthew. As Emmanuel left there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax office. He spoke to him, Follow me. And he rose and followed him. It happened as he sat at the table in a house, behold, many tax collectors, ignorant people, and seekers of the truth came and sat down at the table with Emmanuel and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw that, they spoke to his disciples, Why is your master eating with the tax collectors and the ignorant? When Emmanuel heard that, he spoke, The healthy do not need a physician, but the sick do. And the knowledgeable do not need the teachings, but the ignorant do. And those who were not falsely taught do not need the teaching, but those who were falsely taught do. Go and recognize the falseness of your wrong teachings, so you don't mislead those people who thirst for the truth. Fasting. Then the disciples of John came to him, saying, Master, why do we and the Pharisees fast, and you and your disciples do not fast? Emmanuel said to them, How can the ignorant fast and suffer while they are being taught knowledge? And how can the teacher fast if he has to teach knowledge to the ignorant? Truly I say to you, your teachings are false if you fast according to the laws of a cult. Fasting serves only the health of the body and the growth of the spirit. No one mends an old garment with a new patch of cloth, because the patch will tear off again from the garment, and the rip will become worse. Neither is new wine poured into old wineskins, or the skins will tear and the wine spill, and the wineskins will be ruined. Instead, new wine is put into new wineskins, so they are both preserved. The daughter of Jairus, the woman with the issue of blood. While he was talking with them, behold, one of the rulers of the community came and knelt before him, saying, My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her so she will live. And Emmanuel stood up and with his disciples followed him. Behold, a woman who had hemophilia for 12 years stepped up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. She spoke to herself, If only I could touch his garment, I would be cured. Then Emmanuel turned around and saw her, saying, Be comforted, your confidence has helped you. And the woman was well from that hour on. When he came to the ruler's house and saw the 5 players and the turmoil of the people, he spoke, Depart, because the girl is not dead, but is asleep. And they laughed at him. However, when the people had been driven outside, he went in and took her by the hand, saying, I order you, get up and walk. And the young girl got up and walked, and soon the news of this spread throughout the whole land. The blind man and the 2 mutes. As Emmanuel went on from there, a blind man followed him, crying, O Lord, you son of wisdom and knowledge, who can use the power of your Spirit, take pity on me. When he came to the house, the blind man stepped up to him, and Emmanuel spoke to him, Do you have confidence that I can do this? And he said to him, Yes, Master. Then he touched his eyes, saying, Be it done to you according to your faith. and his eyes were opened, and he saw. Then Emmanuel warned him, saying, "See to it that no one learns what happened to you." However, the man went out and spread the news of him throughout the whole country. After the man had left, behold, they brought him 2 people who were mute and possessed. The mute spoke after the evil spirits had been driven out. And the people were amazed, saying, Such things have never been seen in Israel. How mighty is this new teaching about the power of the Spirit, that it can accomplish such miracles. However, the Pharisees spoke, He drives out the evil spirits through their chief, and he blasphemes God our Lord. And among themselves they spoke, Who is this Emmanuel who possesses greater wisdom and greater knowledge than we? His teachings are mightier and more correct than ours, so he endangers us. We must try to seize him so that he will suffer death. The Great Harvest. Emmanuel went about in all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the secret of creation and of the laws of nature, so that the Spirit would attain omnipotence. He preached about the spiritual kingdom within people, and healed all sickness and infirmities. When he saw the people, he took pity on them, because they were languid and scattered like a herd of sheep with no shepherd. Then he spoke to his disciples, The harvest is great, but few are the laborers to bring it in. Seek and pray in your consciousness that more laborers will be found for the harvest. So it happened that workers for the harvest were found. They gathered around the disciples of Emmanuel. Chapter 10, the calling of the disciples. He called his 12 disciples to him and gave them the knowledge to control the unclean spirits, so they could drive them out and heal all sickness and infirmities. The names of the 12 disciples are these: Simon, called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon Cananaeus, and Judas Iscariot, the only one besides Emmanuel who understood handwriting. Emmanuel sent out these 12, commanding them and saying, Do not go into the streets of Israel, and do not go to the scribes and Pharisees, but go to the cities of the Samaritans and to the ignorant in all parts of the world. Go to the unenlightened, the idol worshippers, and the ignorant, after I have left you, because they do not belong to the house of Israel, which will bring death and bloodshed into the world. Go and preach, saying, The laws of nature are the laws of creation, and the power of the human spirit embodies life. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, drive out evil spirits. Because you receive without paying, give without pay also. You should not amass gold, silver, or copper in your belts. Also, you shall not take with you any large bags in your travels with which to carry food, water, and clothing. Go on your way with only those things necessary for eating and sleeping, keeping yourselves clean and changing clothes on your journey. Never carry too much with you, because you would only burden yourselves and become welcome victims of thieves. Remember, furthermore, each piece of work is worth its pay, and if you preach diligently and teach knowledge, you will not be wanting anything. When you go into a city or village, inquire if someone is there who is worthy, and stay with him until you depart. And when you enter a house, salute it. If the house is worthy, your peace will come upon the occupants, but if it is not worthy, your peace will return to you. If someone will not take you in or listen to your words, leave that house or that city, and shake the dust off your feet. Truly I say to you, do not stay in such places, because they are places of ignorance and evil. People there will not recognize the words of truth and knowledge. Flee from those places, because the residents are disloyal to nature, and they worship holy things, false gods, and idols, but not creation, nor do they follow its laws. Flee from those places, for people there will try to take your life, because they do not want to forsake their false teachings. Flee from the unbelieving, because you should not lose your life for the sake of truth and knowledge. No law demands that of you, nor is there one that admits to such recklessness. Truly I say to you, many will nevertheless die and shed their blood into the sand, because later my teachings will be made into false teachings that I never preached, and which originate in the minds of the scribes and priests. Thereby they will bring the people under their control through belief in their false teachings, in order to rob them of their goods and belongings. In all the world there will be wailing and chattering of teeth, when the blood flows from all those who have made my teachings of wisdom and knowledge into false teachings, and when the blood flows from all those who in their false belief and through malicious deception believe and advocate these false teachings, teachings that are not mine. Many of these false believers will lose their lives, including many Israelites, who will never find their peace until the end of the world, because they are ignorant and unwise, and deny the power of the Spirit, of love, and of knowledge. Truly I say to you, the nation of Israel was never one distinct people, and has at all times lived with murder, robbery, and fire. They have acquired this land through ruse and murder and abominable predatory wars, slaughtering their best friends like wild animals. May the nation of Israel be cursed until the end of the world and never find its peace. Behold, I am sending you among the ignorant and worshippers of idols, like sheep among the wolves. Therefore be clever as serpents and innocent as doves. But beware of the people, because they will turn you over to the courts and scourge you in their synagogues. And you will be led before sovereigns and kings on account of my teaching, as witness to them and to all other ignorant people. If you cannot flee and they turn you over to the courts, do not worry, because the power of your Spirit will not leave you, and your knowledge will tell you what you should say. It will not be you who speak, but the power of your Spirit with its knowledge. You will have to be hated for the sake of my teaching, but those who persevere to the end will be great. And when they persecute you in one city, flee to another. Do not go to too much trouble with the cities of Israel, for truly I say to you, you will not get anywhere with the people of Israel until the end of the world. The disciple is never above the teacher, nor the servant above the master. It is enough for the disciple to be like his teacher, and the servant like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more will they malign those of his household? Therefore beware of Israel, because it is like an abscess. However, do not be afraid of them, because there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, and nothing secret that will not be known. What I tell you in darkness, speak in the light, and what is whispered into your ear, proclaim it from the rooftops. Do not be afraid of evil slander, neither fear those who take life and limb. Do not think that I have come to bring peace on earth. Truly, I have not come to bring peace, but the sword of knowledge and the power of the Spirit, which dwells within the human. I have come to bring wisdom and knowledge, and to provoke son against father, daughter against mother, daughter-in-law against mother-in-law, servant against master, citizen against government, and believer against preacher and priest. People's enemies will be their own family members. The path of truth is long, and the wisdom of knowledge will penetrate only slowly. Dark ages will follow, centuries and millennia before the truth of the Spirit will penetrate to the people. The unrighteous and the ignorant, including the scribes, priests, and authorities, will hate those having the knowledge, so they will persecute them and sow enmity. Chapter 11, the question of the Baptist. After Jmmanuel had finished giving such commands to his 12 disciples, he went on from there, teaching and preaching in their cities. When John in prison heard about the works of Jmmanuel, he sent out his disciples to him and had them ask, "Are you the one to come, the King of wisdom, as foretold by the prophets, or should we wait for another?" Emmanuel answered them, Go back and tell John what you hear and see. The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear, the dead rise, and the truth of knowledge is proclaimed to those who seek it. And blessed are those who do not take offense at my teaching. The testimony regarding the Baptist. Going on from there, Emmanuel began to speak to the people about John. What did you go out into the wilderness to see? Did you expect to see a reed shaken by the wind? Or what did you go out to see? Did you expect to see a man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, those who wear soft raiment are in kings' houses, with the rulers and the rich, and with the hypocrites, scribes and priests. Or what did you go out for? Did you expect to see a prophet? Yes, I tell you, he is more than a prophet. This is he of whom it is written, Behold, I will send my messenger before you, who shall prepare your way. Truly I say to you, among all those born of women, no one has arisen who is greater than John the Baptist. Since the days of John the Baptist even to now, the earth has suffered from violence, and those who commit violence seize the land. All the prophets and the law have prophesied up to the time of John. And if you want to accept it, he is Elijah who will come again in his future life. Those who have ears, let them hear. To what should I compare this generation? It is like the children who sit at the market and call to their playmates, saying, We struck up a tune for you, and you would not dance. We wailed before you, and you would not mourn. John, who is Elijah, came neither eating nor drinking, so they say he is possessed. But I have come eating and drinking, and so they say, Behold, what a glutton and winebibber the man is, a companion of tax collectors and infidels. Yet wisdom is justified through the acknowledged deeds. Praise of the Spirit and of knowledge. At that time Emmanuel began to speak, Praise be to creation, maker of the heavens and the universes, and the earth, that it has kept hidden the knowledge and power of the Spirit from the unwise and unintelligent, who spread the false teachings, and is now revealing it to sincere seekers. Yes, it has been very good of creation, and consequently of God and his celestial sons, that they have thwarted up to now the misuse of power among the human races. All things have now been given over to mankind, and no one knows the secret of creation, not even one person, and neither God nor his followers. And all things have now been given over to me by God, whose guardian angels taught me the laws and knowledge of nature, and the laws emanating from creation. So come to me, all who are seeking and are thirsty for knowledge and truth. I will refresh you. Take the yoke upon yourselves of having to learn the new teaching, because it is the enlightenment. In it you will find peace for your life, because the yoke of spiritual development is gentle, and its burden is light. He mentions in other sections the hardness of their hearts. Truly, truly, I say to you, these laws of order were given by nature, and should be followed, or human beings will bring death to themselves and to the masses. This earth can nourish and support 500 million people of all of the human races. But if these laws are not followed, in 2,000 years, 10 times 500 million people will exist, and the earth will not be able to support them anymore. Famines, catastrophes, world wars, and epidemics will control the earth, and human races will commit suicide with only a few surviving. Truly I say to you, there will be wailing and chattering of teeth when so much human blood is shed upon the sands of the earth that new life forms will arise from it, which will bring the final horror to mankind. Chapter 12. Regarding marriage and cohabitation. It happened that Emmanuel began to speak about the laws of marriage and related topics, and he said, "You have been given the commandment, you should not commit adultery. Despite this, people commit adultery and fornication, thus violating the laws of nature. It is also written, whoever commits adultery and fornication should be punished, because the fallible are unworthy of life and its laws, thus they should be castrated and sterilized. If unmarried men and unmarried women bed down with one another in disgrace and without loving each other, they should be punished also, because the fallible are unworthy of life and its laws, thus they should be castrated and sterilized. And if two men bed down with each other, they should also be punished, because the fallible are unworthy of life and its laws, and behave heretically. Thus they should be castrated and expelled and banished before the people. If, however, two women bed down with one another, they should not be punished, because they do not violate life and its laws, since they are not inseminating, but are bearing. When inseminator and inseminator join together, life is violated and destroyed. But if conceiver and conceiver get together, there is neither violation nor destruction nor procreation. Truly I say to you, there are no animals under the sky that are like people, and would go against the laws of creation and nature. But are you not much more than the animals? No animal under the sky can be found whereby male cohabits with male, or female with female, because both male and female animals follow the laws of nature. A person who indulges in fornication for the sake of pay or pleasure should be castrated or sterilized, expelled and banished before the people. A person who sexually abuses a child is unworthy of life and its laws, and should also be punished with loss of life, castration, or sterilization, in order to be deprived of life's freedom forever and live in bondage and isolation. A person who indulges in incest is unworthy of life and its laws, and should also be punished by loss of life, castration, or sterilization, and be deprived of life's freedom forever and live in bondage and isolation. A person who cohabits with an animal is unworthy of life and its laws, and should be castrated or sterilized, expelled and banished before the people. A person who marries a man or woman divorced in guilt should be castrated or sterilized, because he or she is unworthy of life and its laws, and they should both be expelled and banished before the people. A person who begets a child without being married to the woman is unworthy of life and its laws, and should also be punished by castration and loss of his life. A person who rapes a woman or a man is unworthy of life and its laws, and shall be punished by castration or sterilization, so that he forfeits his freedom and lives in bondage and isolation forever. A person who commits violence to another person, be it physically or by killing or assaulting his thinking, is unworthy of life and its laws, and shall also be punished, so that he will be deprived of his freedom as long as he lives, and spend his life in bondage and isolation. Truly, truly, I say to you, these laws of order were given by nature and should be followed, or human beings will bring death to themselves and to the masses. This earth can nourish and support 500 million people of all the human races, but if these laws are not followed, in 2,000 years, 10 times 500 million people will exist, and the earth will not be able to support them anymore. Famines, catastrophes, world wars, and epidemics will control the earth. And the human races will commit suicide, with only a few surviving. Truly I say to you, there will be wailing and chattering of teeth, when so much human blood is shed upon the sands of the earth, that new life forms will arise from it, which will bring the final horror to mankind. But on this day you have been allowed to receive all good things, and the laws have been given to you by which you should live. And you should adhere to additional laws, so that you will have prosperity on earth and peace in your families. Do away with the enforcement of the old law that woman should be subject to man, since she is a person like a man, with equal rights and obligations. But when a man marries a woman, he should pay to her most trusted steward of her possessions a price as security, so that she will not suffer from lack of necessities. The price should everywhere and always be reckoned such that 100 pieces of silver will be required for each year of the woman's age, if her health is not lacking. Thus she will be measured in accordance with her knowledge, abilities, and strength. The price should not be considered that of a purchase, but as security for the woman, so that she will not suffer any lack. The bond of matrimony between man and woman should be permitted only if both are mentally competent and capable of conducting a marriage according to the laws. A marriage agreement between man and woman should be concluded only when the price for the woman is paid. If, according to prearranged agreement, no price is paid, the law applies that the man must provide for all the wife's necessities. A wife's infertility is no cause for divorce, nor for other judgment or action. The only basis ever for divorce besides adultery is the destruction or endangerment of the material consciousness, the body, or the life of a member of one's own family. A person who is divorced with guilt should be sterilized, expelled, and banished before the people, because he is unworthy of life and its laws. If all is done and adhered to in this way, justice and peace will come to all human races, and life will be preserved. Chapter 13. Emmanuel on the Sabbath day and the Sabbath day. At that time Emmanuel walked through a field of grain on the Sabbath, and his disciples, being hungry, began to pluck ears of grain and to eat. When the Pharisees saw that, they spoke to him, "Behold, your disciples are doing what is not allowed on the Sabbath." But he spoke to them, "Have you not read what David did when he and those with him were hungry? How he went into the temple and ate the bread of the presence, which neither he nor they were supposed to eat, but only the priests? Or have you not read in the law how on the Sabbath the priests in the temple violate the Sabbath, and yet are without guilt? Truly I say to you, you generation of vipers, a stone will turn into bread before no work may be done on the Sabbath. For the law that the Sabbath be kept holy is only a man-made law, without logic, as are all man-made laws that contradict the laws of creation. False prophets and distorters of the Scriptures are the guilty ones responsible for these false laws that contradict the laws of creation and of nature. It is a human law that the Sabbath be holy, and no one work on that day. But that law is one of false teaching, emanating from the human mind, and it escapes logic. Truly I say to you, no Sabbath is holy, and no law dictates that on the Sabbath no work may be done. Thus the Sabbath is a day like any other day, when the day's work may be done. Humans have a will of their own. Thus they alone are masters over the Sabbath, as was written in those old scriptures and laws that were not adulterated by false prophets and distorters and Pharisees. He went on from there and came into their synagogue, where he continued to teach the people. And behold, there was a man with a withered hand. And they asked him, "Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath?" in order that they would have a stronger case against him. But he spoke to them, "You hypocrites, if only you had eyes, ears, and comprehension, so that you could see, hear, and understand. But you are blind and without understanding, because you lack the knowledge to see, hear, and understand nature. And you also lack appreciation of the laws of creation, so that you could see, hear, and understand that creation does not keep the Sabbath holy. Every Sabbath day, creation turns the stars in the sky, regulates the sun, winds, and rains, and nourishes all creatures on earth. Creation causes the waters to run in their channels, and everything goes its usual way on one Sabbath as on another, as it was formed by creation. But are not people much more than all the creatures and plants? They are masters over them all, if they follow the true laws. You generation of vipers, you scripture distorters who spread false teachings because of your greed for money and power. Who among you who has a single sheep that falls into a pit on the Sabbath day would not take hold of it and pull it out? How much more is a person worth than a sheep, or your deceitful and false teachings?" Then he spoke to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out, and it was sound again like the other hand. Then the Pharisees went out and held counsel about him as to how to destroy him, since he made known their lies and false teachings before the people. When Emmanuel learned of that, he withdrew from there, and many followed him, including many sick people, and he healed them all. He threatened them not to spread the news about him, because he was afraid that he would be captured and die the death of a martyr. But his determination to spread the truth prevailed, so he continued to reveal his teachings and wisdom to the people. End of part 3. Fire-breathing alligator. You can purchase on eBay. Just type in fire-breathing alligator and Right Direction Products. Right Direction Products on eBay. Make great gifts.